Good morning, everyone. My name is Zara Husna from Department of Biology, Universitas Indonesia. Today, I am pleased to present my research entitled Economic Valuation of the Mangrove Ecosystem in Pancer Cengkrong Mangrove Forest, Watu Limo District, Trenggalek, East Java, Indonesia. This study evaluates the economic value of ecosystem services provided by mangrove using the total economic value framework. Indonesia contains approximately 23% of the world mangrove forest, making it one of the most important countries for mangrove conservation. Mangrove provide numerous ecosystem services, including fishery production, coastal protection, carbon storage, and biodiversity conservation. However, many of these benefits are not reflected in the market price, causing them to be underestimated in management policy and decision. My study focused on Pancer Cengkrong Mangrove Forest, East Java. This ecosystem experienced surf degradation due to illegal logging in the past, but has undergone successful rehabilitation and community-based management. Despite this recovery, there has been no recent comprehensive economic valuation after more than a decade of restoration. Therefore, the studies aim to quantify the current economic value of its ecosystem services. This study has two objectives. First, to estimate the total economic value of mangrove ecosystem, and second, to identify the contribution of each ecosystem service component to the total economic value. The research was conducted in Pancer Cengkrong Mangrove Forest, located in Karanggandu Village, Watu Limo District, Trenggalek Regency, East Java. The study area covered approximately 87 hectares of rehabilitated mangrove forests. This study followed the total economic value framework consisting of direct use value, indirect use value, option value, and existent value. Data were collected through field observation, interviews, questionnaires, and literature review. A total of 80 respondents participate, including 40 local residents and 40 visitors selected using purposive sampling. Different ecosystem services were assessed using different valuation methods. Fishery production was estimated using the market price method. Ecotourism was valued using the travel cost method. Coastal protection used the replacement cost method. Carbon storage used the market price method. Nursery, spawning, and feeding ground services, as well as biodiversity value, were estimated using the benefit transfer method. Finally, the existent value was assessed using the contingent valuation method, based on respondent willingness to pay. Now, I would like to present the main finding of this study. The total economic value of Pancer Cengkrong Mangrove ecosystem is estimated at 8.4 billion Indonesia rupiah per year. As shown in the pie chart, fishery production contributes the largest share, accounting for 68% of the total economic value. This is for existent value, while indirect value, ecotourism, option value that contribute smaller proportion. Besides the economic valuation, I also assess local community perception toward the mangrove ecosystem. The results indicate that 95% of respondents recognize mangrove as an important ecosystem. 87% agree that mangrove play a significant role in coastal protection, and 95% support mangrove conservation efforts. These findings suggest that the local community has a strong awareness of the ecological and economic importance of mangrove, provide positive foundation for sustainable management. Next, I will explain each component of the total economic value in mangrove, beginning in the fishery production. Fishery production generates the highest economic value, contributing approximately 68% of the total economic value. White shrimp was the dominant fishery commodity. This finding indicates that mangroves serve as an essential habitat supporting fisheries productivity and the livelihood of coastal communities. The next is ecotourism contribution. Ecotourism, approximately 2.4% of total economic value. Although visitors generate economic benefit through travel expenditures, the contribution remains relatively low. Visitor feedback suggests that improving facilities, waste management, and tourism promotion could be increase the economic potential of ecotourism. The next is indirect use value of mangrove ecosystem, approximately contribute 15%. This service including coastal protection, carbon storage, nursery spawning, and feeding ground function. Together, they play an important role in maintaining marine biodiversity, protecting coastal lines, and mitigating climate change. The next is option value. The option value represents 0.7%. Although it's relatively small, it reflects future potential biodiversity for ecotourism, biotechnology application, and potential as an innovative research. The next is existent value. Existent value contribute approximately 30% of the total economic value. The high willingness to pay from both local communities and visitors demonstrates strong public support for mangrove conservation. In addition, the mangrove adoption program further reflects community participation in ecosystem restoration. This study demonstrates that fishery production remains the primary economic benefit of the mangrove ecosystem. However, indirect ecological services and public willingness to conserve mangrove also provide substantial value. Together, this result highlight that healthy mangrove ecosystem generate multiple ecological, economic, and social benefits. Based on this finding, maintaining ecosystem quality is essential to sustain fisheries and other ecosystem services. Continue conservation, rehabilitation, community participation, and improve ecotourism management. Recommend to enhance the long-term value of mangrove ecosystem. In conclusion, the Pancer Cengkrong Mangrove Forest provides significant economic benefit with the total economic value of approximately 8.4 billion Indonesia rupiah per year. Fishery production is the dominant contributor, while ecological services and public willingness to conserve the ecosystem also play important roles. This finding emphasizes that investing in the mangrove conservation support both environmental sustainability and local livelihood. Thank you very much for your attention. I sincerely appreciate your time and I would be happy to answer any question. Thank you.